Right now, on this last day of March, we've got another tightening of the financial noose around Russia's neck. It is just hours away. After today, all French bank BNP Paribas ties with Russia will be severed, completely cut off. Unlike some rival European banks, BNP not only halting new financing operations there, but will no longer process any banking transactions with Russian corporate clients. In a Fox Business exclusive, we're joined by BNP Paribas USA CEO Jean-Yves Fillion, whose bank is now focusing on assisting global clients in hedging against all the headlines, not the least of which includes Vladimir Putin's attempts to prop up Russia's currency. But let's get right to the issue here. BNP, at the end of March, we're just a few hours away from that, is ending all banking transactions and relations with any corporate clients in Russia. What message does the bank want to send to Russia and Vladimir Putin?
Well, you said it very well, Liz. We will not be conducting any transactions onwards in the Russian Federation. By the way, we had downside our operations there in Russia, to which we have very de minimis exposure. Way back when, before the conflict started, we discontinued our retail activities in 2012. We stopped our consumer finance activities in 2020. And in the meantime, we just obviously comply totally with the sanctions policies around the world.
But aside from that, BNP did more than what the rival European banks did in saying, we're done with even our corporate clients. We're not going to conduct transactions with them starting in just a couple of hours. You know, as you watch what's happening in Ukraine, BNP also has, I believe, some operations in Ukraine. Those continue, or what's going on with the situation on the ground?
We do, and you're very well informed. Similar to Russia, where we have de minimis exposure, we have de minimis exposure in terms of balance sheet to Ukraine, but we have a bank there. And by the way, I want to commend the staff we have there, because under these circumstances, this bank has managed to continue to serve their individual and corporate clients. I think they should be really commended for that. The bank is obviously very focused on providing support to our staff on the ground, and obviously using some of the locations we have nearby on the other side of the border, like Poland.
But the entire region is in a state of trauma. You know, you have to believe that Eastern European nations and the ones where all of the refugees are flooding in, this is affecting those economies. Fitch Ratings came out today, just a couple of hours ago, telling Reuters this afternoon, pretty much get ready. The first sign of losses due to the Ukraine war will be seen on the balance sheets of first quarter earnings for European banks. What kind of effect do you expect?
Well, Liz, here, obviously the last few months have been a very confusing time. And markets and economy are trying to find their way. I see three catalysts, really. Obviously, the inflation that we're facing linked to the supply chain disruptions, which is really causing an inflation we haven't seen in inflation rates we haven't seen in 40 years. The second catalyst is what we're discussing here, which is the outbreak of this conflict, which, you know, with the follow-on sanctions, is really leading into an energy crisis, which, by the way, impacts Europe probably first, but it's being felt here. And the third aspect in terms of confusing time is this potential wave of pandemic-related shutdowns in Asia, as we've seen over the last 2 weeks. And there's a lot to be watched here. Having said that, this U.S. economy remains one of the most resilient economies in the world. It's energy self-sufficient. I mean, individual and corporate balance sheets are very strong. Consumer confidence is fading a bit, but is really, consumer spending continues to be strong. And last but not least, we see a capital velocity in equities and debt capital markets here, which is very, very active as well.
Jean-Yves, our viewers are like your clients. They want to be in the market, but they need to be protected and they need to be hedged. You know, you talk about currency fluctuations. Now Vladimir Putin says, oh, you have to pay for the energy that you buy from us in rubles, which is obviously ridiculous. The ruble has certainly tried to come back. It's closer to where it was right as they launched the war. But how are you helping your clients hedge against all of these headlines, which can be very worrisome?
Well, listen, over the last 2 weeks, I've had the privilege to be on the road, to be with clients belonging to, you know, different industries, including the tech industry. Definitely, volatility across rates, commodities, currencies as well, is at the top of the executive's mind. But it's really around as well, supply chain management, still, raising capital and financing to fund working capital needs, as well as just, funding M&A and different kind of capex program. And on the volatility front, my bankers are telling me they've never received that many calls to discuss hedging strategies, mainly across rates and currencies. Commodities is part of the discussion, but candidly, prices are already today so much through the roof that it's more like discussions and not really execution yet.
We've got to go, but the return to normalcy perhaps was best exhibited just a week ago in Indian Wells, California, when BNP Paribas Open, the tennis championship, happened finally because it had been shut down. It was the first major sports event to be shut down when the lockdowns happened in 2020. We had an American win, the man winning, Taylor Fritz, I believe. Congratulations. But what does this tell you when you look at the audiences that came and the ticket buyers? What does it tell you about the normalcy in the reopening trade?
It's very exciting. To give you a sense, we had almost 400,000 fans visiting over the last 2 weeks, which is close to pre-COVID metrics. We were able to host our clients in person, like I have the privilege to be with you today in person in your studio.
Thank you.
Then it's really a good step forward toward return to normalcy. And as you know tennis very well, I know you're a tennis fan as well.
Yes.
And BNP Paribas is one of the largest sponsors of tennis in the world. We leverage tennis to go beyond the sport itself and to really support very important causes like social equity, like sustainability, as well as contribution to the communities.
Jean-Yves, we're watching everything that happens, and BNP is very much at sort of the linchpin area between Europe, Eastern Europe, and the U.S. Thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure to be here, Elise.
Jean-Yves Fillion.